I'm Liz Foy, and I'm recording from somewhere I never record because the house is empty today, or right now. So, let's hop in. I want to talk about protecting your energy in social situations. So, we hosted a party at our house last night, and that takes a lot of energy, not only to host, but to be in those social settings. So I'm going to share with you, hey Mary, I'm going to share with you how I protect this space in my home, not only when I'm hosting, but in general. This is if you're having people over at all. And for me, I live with multiple other people, and so people are in and out all the time. And so it's important to have energetic boundaries in the space, clear all of the space, and protect your own space. So I'll start from the beginning of party prepping or social hosting, how you can protect that space. So what I do, I realized when I was kind of making some notes on this and thinking through doing this video, which I planned to do yesterday, thank you for your patience, I realized that I had a lot more energetic prep myself to do, so I needed to focus on that instead of make the video. But when I really started going through everything that I do, I realized how much there is, how much I really do energetically protect. So before hosting, I always sage, smudge, or sage all of the areas. Sometimes I will get an intuition that there's an energy there that needs to be helped in some way, needs to be removed, to where you can basically do cord cutting with the space as well, because sometimes a cord will connect to a space. So occasionally I'll have to disconnect cords from a room or from, I don't even know what it would be in a space, but I'm like, oh, there's a cord here, let me help everyone go back to where they need to get their energy from. And once I clear the space by smudging and very intentionally, sometimes this is praying. I believe it's Archangel Michael that I've heard you can pray to specifically for energy clearing, but I'm not positive about that. I haven't been into archangels until recently, so that's a newer thing for me. But if anyone knows, please comment what archangel you can pray to for that. But saying a prayer not only for clearing, but after the clearing, the next piece is the blessing. So I always go through and I bless the rooms. This looks different all the time. Sometimes this is, hey Casey, sometimes this is a very quick filling the room with Reiki. And this, sometimes it fills up really quickly and I'm good and I move on. Sometimes this is meditating in a space for almost an hour, filling it with energy. So leaving plenty of time for this is really important. So once you clear, you then fill with intention, fill with energy and love, and then also intention. So what is your intention for that gathering? That is different for different things. I have had healing circles here. I have had, last night it was a party with not as many empaths. It was a more social gathering. So the intention was that everyone got along really well, and I had my own intentions that I'll keep private. But having an intention for that space and really infusing the energy of that intention into the space. And then comes in the piece of protecting your own energy space. And these are all techniques for if it's in your space, and I'll go on also to when you go out into other spaces. So for me, I then have my own energetic space. I have my room that I often retreat to during parties periodically. I used to have some other spaces in the house as well that were kind of my go-tos of, okay, if things are too much or if I need to regroup, these are the spaces I go to. So I make sure to do that clearing in that space as well, and that blessing, and also a protection of that space. The protection of the space is really important because with all of the people there and all of that energy, there is a lot moving through there, and you want to be sure that it is moving through the rest of the house, but that your safe space, your retreat space, is kept clear and pure with your own energy. So what I do is I create a bubble around that. And I'll touch on this also when I talk about individual protection. But you create a bubble around it. So this is an energetic bubble. You can envision it. I usually have it as a clear glowing white light. It's this luminescent light that I envision sometimes with a purpley. And the important thing with this is that you envision it fully around whatever your space is, and that there are one-way vents. So there are little valves that you envision in this bubble that go out so that any energy that is created in there can be released, because you don't want to picture like a bubble. And if it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen like a bubble that then smoke is blown into, you don't want some negativity to come up in that space and then be trapped there. So you want a little valve that can let that energy out of that space. I'll go ahead and talk also about doing that individually. Doing the personal bubbles is huge, and I coach on that a lot. Of you can use a certain stone if you're feeling called to that, to where you can have a certain gemstone that's like, okay, now I'm going to use this stone to create a barrier around me. However you set that up, or if you're a Reiki practitioner or some other energy practitioner specifically that does an energy bubble, doing that, but having the valves is really important, because not only can other things somehow get there, but we're in this earthly world, and there are other realms that can connect to us. So we want to be sure that within our space, if something does get through our bubble, or if it kind of pops up from another realm into that space, that we are able to let it go and that it is not entrapped in that bubble. Also, if there's something negative inside of us that comes up, we want to be sure that it can be easily let out. And I'm burning up. I'm wearing this super thick sweatshirt and a sweatshirt underneath. So excuse me while I shed a layer. So yes, the energy bubble for ourselves, but back to then the energy bubble for our space. You do that, and that's pretty much clearing the space and setting the intention. And then on to what I do for myself. Very similar to the space of clearing my cords, checking my energy, doing energy work. On days that I'm hosting or that I'm going to be doing anything socially, I always make sure that I do something for myself. Some sort of self-care, self-pleasure ritual, something that really lets you know that you are responsible for your own happiness and that you can protect your own energy, and something to just kind of fill up your cup, and to remind you about what your foundation is. This group is authentic, aligned, and empowered empaths. And the first piece of that is authentic, where it's really your foundation of you. Who are you? The next is aligned, and that's kind of how you take that out into the world. And so that's what you then want to think about when you're moving forward in going into a social space. And I had some comments. Let me look back through those. Mary, yes, you're right. Archangel Michael is the archangel of protection, and he works with a sword of light. This clearing prayer prevents outside energy from affecting you and removes any energy or entities that may have attached to your aura. Awesome. Thanks, Mary, for clarifying. I thought that's who it was. So yes, now I'm getting back to it. Yeah, so doing something for yourself before your event. And let me look back. So I was so impressed with how many comments there were on the post that I did yesterday about what issues you have with social situations. So let me look at some of those and I'll go through it. Okay. Sarah says, I get super sucked into others' energies or moods around me, even if I'm eating with someone one-on-one, can't help but be tuned into the vibes in surrounding tables. So I'll stop at that one. So yes, oh my gosh, I'm sure that we all have this as empaths of when you go somewhere, you have everything around you. And that's where it's really important to know what is your energy, what does your energy feel like, and what is someone else's energy, so that you know when someone else's energy is what's affecting you. When you go out, having that energy bubble is really important. If you have questions about that, I think that this is my first time on this page that I've talked about it, but creating that bubble with the vents can be huge for when you go out. And then some more logistical things too. I have certain places that I won't go because for some reason there's energy that I know doesn't work well with me. So I request if I'm meeting someone to go somewhere different. And And then I tend to find like tables that are not by the register, where people are coming in and out, where I'm going to be distracted. That's kind of away from the general flow of people, which is also the general flow of energy. Hey, Angel. So yeah, kind of protecting yourself in those situations in a logistical space as well. And then it's really important afterwards to clear the energy, to clear whatever ended up getting through that bubble. And as you recognize it in those places, so as you are, let's say you're at coffee with a friend and you're feeling some energy from someone at another table. Let's say they're having a conversation and you know what's going on and you feel the energy of both of them. Energetically cutting the cord then. Of course, you're not going to do the whole process that I've taught before, but energetically like saying, I release this with love and light. Let only come into my space what serves my highest good. May my energy be protected. Say intuitively whatever comes up for you. And sometimes this means if you're in a social setting and you're with someone else, that you need to step away to the restroom to do that. And then in the restroom, you can take a minute to breathe, to think about your own energy, and to really tune into yourself, so that then you can be fully present with that person. Because that's always the goal, is to be fully present with yourself and be fully present with whoever you're with. And if you're not able to do that, my ethical or energetic ethical boundary is that I have to do something until I can do that. If I'm not able to be fully present with someone, then something needs to change, because that to me is inappropriate. So that to me means that I need to step away and do something to where I can be fully present for them. And then the second piece of Sarah's message said, in party gathering situations, she says this is not necessarily a struggle, but she has a tendency to disappear from the people she came with, and usually having a heart-to-heart with a fellow introvert. Absolutely. As an introvert, I do that as well. And one of the other things that has been really helpful for me is having the intention for my gathering. So if I'm going out to a social setting, who is it that I want to meet with? What kind of connection do I want to feel? Knowing and setting up that intention so that you can manifest whatever that is. For me, this sometimes, especially when I was really struggling with like social anxieties, I would have some set questions that if I was going into a social setting, I think I saw Lynn pop on. Hey, Lynn. If I was going into a social setting, I would have just a few questions in case my mind kind of went crazy and I needed something to ground me back to, what do I want to achieve out of this gathering? How do I want to feel when I leave? And if you're an introvert, you probably hate small talk. Like, is anyone with me on that? Does small talk just like drive you absolutely crazy? So I would find myself in these situations where I'm like, oh, this is all small talk and it's driving me crazy. What is your piece of that? Are you asking good questions? Are you really engaging in this conversation? So having some questions beforehand of what do you want to connect with people about? And I have had to really look at, is that just self-centered, or is this really for how they would react as well? So making sure that it's not like, oh, hey, I'm reading this book. What does that mean to you? Hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. What does that mean to you? Asking about what they're passionate about. A big goal is for me, is often is to connect with what lights them up, to get to know them better, especially if it's someone that I'm going to be around all the time. Let's say Hunter, my husband's friends, that are now my friends as well. But if I don't feel like I connect with them on many levels, I really want to connect with them in an authentic way. And so for that to happen, I've learned that I do best with asking about what they are passionate about right now. What is going on in their life? Get something that lights them up, because what lights me up is not what lights them up. And we don't want to push any of that on them. There was a comment from Rachel about that as well of, I have a hard time overly advising when someone isn't ready and didn't ask for it, and putting things into bite-sized pieces. So yes, making sure that we go into it of bringing out the best in them. It's not about us shining our own light. It's about helping others discover their light. And so going into social situations with some of the questions I was trying to think of, what books are they reading, what hobbies are they interested in currently, travel, but really finding some way of what lights you up. And this is where the intuition comes in. So the intuition comes in with this because you can have all the questions you want written down and you might have something else pop in your head. If you are fully present in that conversation, something will pop into your head and you will ask them, and it's the perfect thing that you wouldn't have thought of if you would have just gone by written out questions. So really being present in conversations in social settings of what they're saying, what feeling is behind that, and trusting your intuition for any follow-up questions that might come from that. Looking at some other comments. Yeah, small talk is just like the killer of joy for so many introverts. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. So being really in tune with your energy, knowing that it's okay to step away at different times, and down to Rachel's thing of boundaries and protecting energy and space, being able to take what we learn and put it into bite-sized info for someone not as far as long in the healing journey and what they're comfortable with. And yeah, so that is a struggle with empaths and with intuitives, is when you're in these social settings and they're asking about something, how do you put it in their level? Really taking a few breaths before answering questions a lot of times will give you the clarity to not just regurgitate what you regurgitate to different people, but when you know what it feels like to be in that flow of being a vessel of information, to where that question is then responded in a way that is specific for them. It's nice to have, if you have social anxiety, I'm gonna kind of change position a little bit. I wanna get more comfortable. If you have like social anxiety, then yes, having some set things to talk about is really helpful, but really trusting that whatever is supposed to come through for that person will. And I found myself in that situation many times last night when I wanted to talk about this group and things that are going on in my life. I'm like, okay, some of this is going to be so above their head, because then people were like, wait, what do crystals do? Aren't they just rocks? And I'm like, oh shit, where do I even start? So yes, sometimes it is finding that like middle ground where it's like, okay. And this is also a learning moment. This is just like I've talked about in some other videos, and I'm sure you've heard other places. A lot of the things that we will say to people as intuitives, this is the seed. This is the first seed of them hearing it, to where they might think that we are batshit crazy, and that's okay. That's all right. That's their judgment. It has nothing to do with us, but letting them see the joy that it brings us, letting them see our true essence, because the goal in my mind for a lot of connections is our essence, our light connecting to their light. So helping identify what their light is too. I've had so many conversations with people, and this is often my goal going into it, is how can I help them feel better about themselves and bring out the light in them? So I've had people often after conversations be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I was so passionate about that, or I didn't even realize why I was so drawn to that. Thanks for helping me realize it. Because when you ask those deeper level questions, if they've only ever been asked surface questions about what they like to do or why, that's the level that their thinking often goes to, because we don't go down to that deeper level of why does it really bring you joy. Sorry, I am such a fidgeter, so I'm just gonna like keep moving around, guys. Okay, so let's see. Casey asked something. As a communal living area, how do you balance different energy from so many people? Oh, great question. And then to be translated into an office setting. Yeah, let me see what the comment was above that. Start to feel really ungrounded during conversations, even on the phone. Okay, I'll come back to that in just a second, Angel. So Casey, grounding the energy in communal settings as well as the office is you taking the leadership role. In the home, so with me living with so many people, Hunter and I have kind of taken the leadership role for the most extent, because we had the home first, we own it, and we're just natural leaders, and we've had that open discussion with everyone to where they know that, okay, we want you to lead it. Others in the work environment taking that role of leadership, that is easy for you because you are the business owner, you are the leader. So if it's an office that you are in, really protecting and clearing that energy and setting up the intention, just like you did with the new space, especially having like a ritual of like, okay, this is what the space is intended for, this is my goal for it. And balancing different energies, that's where it comes in also of with the business. And I'll have to talk about this in a different video. Sorry guys, this video is going long. There's so much to cover. In a office setting, a business can become an entity a business is an entity within itself. So letting, like with my business, I will have time with Beyond Massage where I sit and I speak with Beyond Massage of what do you want? And it's clear with me. And so recognizing also if you have a business, recognizing what the energy of that business is so that you recognize when that is out of whack as well. Just like recognizing our own energy. And then, let's see. Angel, you feel ungrounded during conversations, even on the phone. What can you do to feel, what makes you feel more grounded in general? And pay attention to if it's with certain people or if it's at a certain time of day. What other aspects go into that? I have found with conversations, I am often feel like I'm being like called outside. I mean, like I am being pulled outside. And often that's because I need to be grounded during that conversation. Or I need to receive wisdom from nature for that person that I'm on the phone with. So staying like trusting it all goes back to trusting your intuition of what helps you feel more grounded. Some other things with conversations, I wonder if you're not protecting your energy as strongly. Another thing that's coming to me specifically for you right now is if you're using stones that are around you during that conversation, making sure that those stones are working for you. There's some stones, some crystals that will take on other people's energies. And I'm really feeling intuitively like some of your crystals might be doing work for other people. So clearing those and setting the intention that they are there to work for you so that it doesn't pull in other people's energies. Because sometimes obsidian is one that I've experienced this with, that it will take someone else's energy, and it can do that over the phone as well as if you're not in the physical vicinity with them. It will take that other person's energy, but if it's not cleared properly, sometimes you can then absorb it from that stone to where it can almost be a carrier for that. So that's something to be kind of cautious with. I hope that helps. I've had people freak out and call my crystals voodoo rocks, like get them away from me. Yeah, they are powerful. Yeah, Angel, if you haven't heard that, when I first realized it, and paying attention to each individual crystal almost has like a spirit of themselves. And so really letting them speak to you of what their purpose is and if they're for you, just like a crystal can call out to you. Like I specifically have I've mentioned this in the group that we're in, Angel. I have a yoni egg that's obsidian, and I literally can only use it a few certain times of like the month, like 2 times, because then it needs to be cleared specifically from the moon. It is really specific. She lets me know how she wants to be cleared and when she reaches her max capacity. So letting all of your stones speak that way to you is important. So I want to be sure that I'm honoring time and kind of wrapping up. Let me go through some more of the comments and questions. Oh gosh, there is just so much, guys. Sorry, this video is long. I hope you're getting some good information though. Okay, so Mary, okay, so let's see, this comment you had said on the post, I don't know why this is, but I don't always think that people like me. I used to get upset about that and eventually didn't care anymore, but the feeling is still there. This especially happens when I'm around a lot of people and I don't know, or around people I care for a lot. I think this comes down to the self-worth and the self-love for yourself. So really having that foundation yourself of knowing that everything around you is a mirror. So if you're feeling concerned about other people not liking you, how are you maybe not liking you yourself? Oh, perfect, Mary. You just hopped back on and I was just reading one of your comments. So yeah, in social settings, All right, yay, thanks, Casey. So in social settings, if you're feeling self-conscious, or if you're wondering like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like people like me, or people think I'm weird, or I'm awkward, whatever it is, that's a reflection of how you're feeling. And if that is what they think, so what? So what? It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. So all that matters is how you are perceiving that reflection. So if you're going into a social setting and you're feeling something from them, that's because a piece of you feels it. So really getting that foundation first before you go into that social setting. Saying some affirmations, doing some mirror work especially. So this is really huge. Our world is a mirror. Every interaction we have in a relationship is a reflection of something that we think or feel about ourselves. So doing mirror work before you go, of saying affirmations to yourself and just like talking to yourself in the mirror, like, yeah, I am a badass. Yeah, I'm fully connected to my angels and my guides, and I am fully supported every step of the way. God is here for me. Look at how gravity is supporting me. Holy shit, this is amazing. Yes. Like whatever, and I'm just kind of going off like on my own little thing, but think of whatever the affirmations are that you want to believe, and say them in a way that is believable to you, but that really makes you feel supported by yourself. So before going into the social settings, having all of those. Casey, social cues, knowing when enough is enough in a conversation, like honoring the time a person has set for you and not more. Setting up boundaries to protect our personal space and energy without giving in to what we are not comfortable sharing or explaining to others. And also how to disconnect from your healer, not you, but how to communicate to my clients how to use their power for themselves and treat me and empaths only as a guide. Oh, this is a big one. Again, everything's a mirror, turning it back to you. How are you respecting time? How are you respecting and setting up that leadership role also? So if this is going towards clients, there's two pieces to that. The first piece is, how are you being an example? Are you being an example by taking great care of yourself, by honoring the boundaries in relationships with them, as well as relationships with your leaders and guides? And then the second piece is coming forth as a leader. In a client-therapist relationship or a coach-client relationship, the coach or the therapist is the leader. It is your responsibility to hold those boundaries and to set that guideline and that expectation. So if a client is trying to take too much, it is your responsibility to set that line. And that is, it's possible to do it in a very loving way. And this is also something that is going to be infinitely valuable to them, because it is letting them know that they are their source of power. You are not their source of power. We have to take our ego out of it as coaches and healers. That, yeah, it's great when people love the work we do and when we're able to help them, but we have to keep directing them back to themselves, because they are their source of power, not us. And it's really easy to get sucked into that kind of God complex of, look at how much I'm helping this person. This is great. Yeah, go ahead. Keep asking me. I'll have all the answers for you. It's really easy to do that, but it's always about directing them back to themselves. So communicating is more in an energetic way. Yes, there are verbal communications that need to happen for that, but it's more about leading by example, and the energetic connections and energy ethics and boundaries. I'll be talking in a different video about that, because that's a huge thing as well. And oh my gosh, I could go on for another hour on this video. Jeez. Woo, won't be hard to do a video every day in here, guys. Okay, let me make sure I've gone through all the comments. Protecting personal energy. I've been working on listening and being more reassuring to help heal and let someone figure it out, but it's very difficult. I also get sucked into others' emotions very easily, and once my energy gets fixated on it, I have a hard time turning it off. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch a lot of these to another video about energy boundaries. I wish there was a counter on the phone. I don't even know how long the video's been going, but I think a long time. So thank you guys for this interaction, and I hope you've gotten some helpful tips. We covered a lot more than just the social boundaries, but let me wrap that back up and close that out. So we talked about protecting your space if you're hosting. protecting your space if you're going somewhere yourself, into a social setting. How to have some questions on hand and to set an intention of what you want to get out of that. And really one of the gists of that is bring out others' light. Thanks, 30 minutes. All right. Okay. Oopsies. Bringing out others' light. That can be such a great intention of figuring out how can you connect with them on a deeper level. And by doing that, it's by honoring their light and letting whatever their light is come. And I mean, heck, it's namaste. The light in me honors the light in you because it's the same light. So recognizing that whatever they're passionate about, even if you're like, I have no idea why you're so into, Dungeons and Dragons, you might not resonate with that at all. But you know what you can resonate with? The excitement that they have about it. And that's the same light. It's namaste. So then after social settings and after a party, oh man, I need to sage the rest of here. An energy just came. Oh, and there's the roommates coming back and I'm a crazy person talking to myself in the middle of the room. So clearing the energy afterwards. So clearing your own energy and clearing the space. So if you've been at a different social setting, coming back and being sure that you disconnect cords, that you smudge, that you're very grateful for the experience as well. And then that's the other thing within the space. Afterwards, you have to sage again. You have to get rid of what people left, especially if there was like drinking going on or gossiping, things that you don't want to allow into your space. You got to smudge it. Ugh, get it out. But clearing your energy, clearing the rest, and then really feeling grateful for the experience. So, all right, now people are back and I'm the weirdo talking to myself. So I'm gonna hop off. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Let me know what other questions you have.